Welcome, everyone, and thanks for joining us today. You're here listening to the Shea Vaughn Show, and I'm your host, Shea Vaughn. We are here on WBTV, and I am really excited about our guest today. So I'm going to just jump in with both feet and tell you a little bit about her. So Sylvia Gayed is the founder and the CEO of Manhattan Tax and Accounting, and she actually has her business in Manhattan Beach, California. She is a full-service tax and accounting firm, which was established in 2005. Help me welcome her to the show. Sylvia, so glad to have you.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be here. Thanks for inviting me to be on your show.
Well, thank you so much. And I have to tell you, and I know that you feel the same, I love Manhattan Beach and Hermosa and that whole area down there. It is beautiful.
Yes, on the whole South Bay, but particularly Manhattan Beach.
Yeah.
A little bit patriotic here to my city.
Yes.
But,
how did you end up there in Manhattan Beach?
Well, I first moved into the city back in 2001, and I decided after basically commuting a lot for work with Deloitte at the time that I wanted to establish my firm close to where I live. Okay. So it's literally within close proximity where I don't have to commute, I don't have to deal with traffic. So it's a great community.
It is a great community. And you know what I love about it too, and a lot of people may not know this, but it truly is a community, and the people kind of like are a little bit more laid back than a lot of different places in LA or in California.
Very true.
And they're very friendly.
Very, very true.
Yeah, very friendly and helpful and smiles on their face. It's delightful. It really is.
It's a beautiful community. Everybody helps each other. It's really close tight, and it's just really amazing. Everybody that lives in the city here is just absolutely, just like you described them, very friendly and outgoing and very welcoming to pretty much everyone that visits the city.
So we'll shout out to everyone. Come to Manhattan Beach and enjoy it.
Yes.
So what got you, tell me a little bit about growing up, and how did you end up in, being an accountant? I mean, you helped so many people and you saw so many, issues, and we'll kind of get into that. But what was, you didn't come out saying, hey, I'm going to be a tax, expert.
For sure. Well, actually, it's funny enough, but I was originally going to go into medical school. That was my plan. I wanted to just help people. I knew that this is in me to be able to help others, and this is where I got my gratification. So I wanted to go into medical school, and then in a few years after doing pre-med, in colleges, some events have happened in my personal life with my family, which led me, my mom unfortunately got sick, and I wanted to stay closer to her. Oh. So I let go of my dream of going to medical school, and I decided to switch career and start going towards accounting and finance. And in return, I actually feel like even though I'm in accounting and taxes, I'm helping people. So instead of helping their health well-being, I'm helping their financial well-being.
Exactly, which is so important. And we really can't put enough emphasis on that.
Yes.
I think there's so many people out there that, don't really look at their taxes, don't do any of the finances. Maybe it's left to their husband, then something happens there and they're lost.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more with you, Shea. I mean, there's so many people that either come with back taxes that they haven't filed for multiple years, or their spouses, just like you said, handled everything for them, and now unfortunately their spouses had passed on. So now they're in the position of having to handle the taxes, and they're clueless in a lot of aspects. Also, the tax law has been changing drastically over the past 4 or 5 years. So there's so much going on in that arena, and it's very important to work with someone who's knowledgeable in that area to be able to maximize your tax savings.
Absolutely. And I think with what the government is planning to do and whatever, I think there's going to be a lot more changes that's going to be taking place in the next couple of years too. So instead of medical, you came into finance. Mm-hmm. I spent 12 years in finance, so I love that area. I never thought about being a doctor. I used to play, being a little, nurse when I was a young girl, but even that I don't like blood. I don't like, I want to help people, but
Yes.
I'm not real good at some of those things that you need to be, good at. And so on the financial side of it, I know that your firm is really specializing in tax and preparation for individuals and corporations, partnerships, LLC companies, tax planning, bookkeeping, and even payroll, which is huge for corporations and even small businesses. Talk to me about all of that.
So when I came to think about establishing my firm, I recognized that a lot of businesses in the area would rather deal with one tax firm. I didn't want to be dealing with a payroll company, then a bookkeeper, then dealing with an accountant to handle their taxes. So I wanted to consolidate it and make it as efficient as possible for business owners. So I established a firm to be a one-stop accounting firm. So as you mentioned, we do handle tax preparation for individuals, corporate partnerships, LLCs, as well as we do a little bit of trust and fiduciary tax returns as needed. But often I do get clients that need help with their bookkeeping. So I do have employees that handle the bookkeeping aspect of the business as well as payroll. And we do incorporate businesses as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know on small businesses and things like that, especially, with the bookkeeping, is so important with the taxes and making sure everything is right. And, they don't always have the time to do it or the knowledge that is needed to do it, so that they don't end up at the end of the year having all these issues because they didn't keep their books right.
Correct. And this also falls back on the relationship with the professional accountant. I'm one of those individuals that I believe in giving personalized service for my clients and believe in being available to them as needed. Though the firm, our busiest time is our tax season and extension time, but the firm is open all year round. And I'm usually accessible to my clients, usually within 48 hours. I try to return all emails or calls, sometimes sooner, sometimes a bit later, depending on the time of the year. But giving the personalized service and building the business relationship with my client, it helps them a lot because sometimes questions come up during the year, or I may have certain recommendations for their business situation. So it allows that open door for us to be able to communicate even off tax season.
I know that sometimes you must get calls, like even out of state, where somebody wants somebody who is a real expert in a certain area, and as an accountant, looking for someone that can give them good advice. Don't need to necessarily be, in Manhattan Beach or even the surrounding areas there, but just is looking for someone that can, counsel them.
That is correct. And as a matter of fact, I do have multiple clients that are all over the states of California, of all over the states, United States. Mm-hmm. And some of them actually have been referred to me. Some of them are actually used to be in California and they moved on to another state for work or other reasons. Right. So I'm still available to them. I'm still able to help them with their tax returns and all the tax needs.
Yeah. And I think that some people really have that concept that, when it comes to taxes and stuff like that, you've got to be able to go in and hand them your paperwork and see them in person and whatever. But that's not really true.
That's correct. Multiple clients will just email me their tax documents, whether email or fax, whatever is easier. Sometimes they email it to me, FedEx it to me. And then basically we prepare the tax returns. I schedule conference calls with my clients, review the returns with them, and then if I answer any questions they may have, and then return, if everything is good, they sign the e-file authorizations. I send them their paperwork along with a copy of the tax return for the records, and then they're done. Everything goes electronically.
And what's really great too is that if you needed to get on, to see each other or whatever, just like here we are right now, and you can do that, and it's easy, and you can be right with them. It's the world has become smaller in lots of ways like that.
With technology.
Yeah, exactly. And just keeping in contact with those people that you really want to not just work with, but that you want to really, continue with your friendships and loved ones that you have out there. So it makes life a little bit easier. So tell me a little bit about, I know that you graduated from college with a bachelor's degree in finance and in accounting. Mm-hmm. And then tell me a little bit more about that.
So, right in the last year before graduation, I actually did an internship with Universal Music where I got a lot of experience in the accounting industry. And then after I graduated, they happened to have a position open. They actually offered me to work with them in the publishing, on the music publishing side, where I worked as a senior financial analyst for 3 years. A lot of times in that particular position, I did more of unclaimed property taxes, more of year-end and quarter-end and monthly-end reporting of certain accounting information, journal entries. It was just the beginning of position, but I was still was a senior financial analyst, and I still was able to report to various managerial like vice presidents and the manager of finance at the time. Okay. So I also dealt with a lot of budgeting, a lot of forecasting. So it was a really great experience to have working for the entertainment industry and working for Universal, particularly being the largest music company in the world.
Out there.
Yeah.
What an experience that is, even though you were doing, maybe not exactly what you wanted to do with clients, but it really teaches you a lot of different things that you don't realize that you'll be able to use when that client walks in that door that has been in music or needs something, and you've got the answers to it.
For sure. I mean, it was such a great experience, and it was a door opening for other ones. I mean, this was a great step up for me to get into my controller position with Deloitte & Touche. But they loved the fact that I got all this rounded experience with music, with the finance, with accounting. They liked also the experience that I had with Universal. I wouldn't trade it for anything. I mean, even though I worked there for 3 years, but the experience is worth more like 6 or 7 years of work experience, because of the amount and the level of experience and work that we've done there. Mm-hmm. Also, it did give me experience working with a lot of the, like you said, performing arts, personnel and different executives, and it was just really great. I got to learn more about their various expenditures, different things about the label companies, and even till this day, when I got new clients, one of the things they ask for, do you have any experience or knowledge of the entertainment industry? And I can't tell you how many just loves the fact that I do have this experience. And see, we've been looking for a professional in this industry. So it definitely pays off working for them.
Well, I can certainly see, this is LA. Come on, let's be real about where we are. And of course you're going to, get asked that question. I think that, and you want that business because you can help them and you do have that experience. And
correct.
They wouldn't know that by just looking you up. So I can see if they did look you up and you're close and they want to, do business with, someone where they don't have to travel too far. And they are in the entertainment or music industry, that, hey, they came to the right door.
Yes, correct.
So growing up, when you said about taking care of your family and staying close to them, I wanted to comment on that, because I always, it's never by, our own choices that those things happen. I think that God definitely has a hand in that.
For sure.
It was already planned that this is what you were going to, be doing. And he knew best, right?
Yes, absolutely. He draws our plans, and he's the master planner. So we may have a plan, but he will redirect it according to what his plans are. And usually they are far better than what we want for ourselves. Right.
And I know that when we give back and we do things like that, like my mom came to live with me. She was visiting me after she decided to not stay with my father.
Yes.
And this was a second marriage for her, but with my dad.
Yes.
Crazy. And so when she called me and told me that she wasn't going to, stay, we hung up the phone and I called her right back and I said, just come and visit me, And, I'd asked her on the phone what happened. And she said, well, my mom just never said anything bad about anybody. She was a saint.
Right.
But, he just got a little older and he slowed up.
Oh.
But what I want to share with you about that is that she came and she stayed with me for 17 years until she passed away.
Wow.
And when we were talking about doing the right things and taking care of our parents and caring for them and whatever, I thank God for that opportunity to be able to do that, because she was my best friend.
Oh, absolutely. And I had such a special relationship with my mom, and especially after my father passing away when we were very young, myself and my siblings. this relationship with my mom became stronger, being the oldest of three. And just I couldn't see just basically anything happening to her and me not being there right next to her. Mm-hmm. So if it meant even for me to just let go of certain plans that I have or certain dreams I wanted to have, it was far more important for me to just be there for her. As I feel like, the parents have done so much for us. The least we can do is just take care of them, as they get older. So.
Yeah, I wouldn't be walking around if it wasn't for,
for them,
for that good care.
Yes.
So what's the potential, normal client that kind of walks in your door? What's the average? What are they looking for?
Typically, the average client has either a W-2, they have a small business that they are starting up, or some of them have already established businesses, mainly corporations and partnerships. They're looking for a professional who's going to really pay attention to them, give them personalized service, be available to them in crisis time.
Yeah.
I say crisis, not really crisis where they get a letter from the IRS, but more like, okay, they want to make a decision and they don't know how this decision is going to impact their tax situation. For example, they want to lease a car or buy a car or purchase a house or what have you, the decision that they're going to make, or bring on another shareholder or a partner to their entity. They want to see the tax implication. They want to know. And the number one thing that they always look for is someone who is going to be available. I can't tell you how many new clients come to me and they say, our previous accountant never returned our calls. Our previous accountant did this and this and this and that. Previous accountant didn't even give us advice. I've had clients who come to me that, for example, that have been Schedule C for such a long time, and they've been paying on self-employment tax, huge amounts, and their professional, their previous accountant never told them about different avenue that's available for them to be able to save on this self-employment tax. And they look at me in shock. Why hasn't he told them before? So I don't have an answer for them other than the fact that if they don't spend the time with the client, you wouldn't get this advice. So I pride myself in spending time with my client. So when a client come in initially to me, I spend time, I look at their tax situation, I look at what documents we will need from them, I do the work, and then when they come back to pick up the tax return or when I'm reviewing it with them over the phone, depending on the situation, then I usually give some tax advice in there, or I may answer certain questions they have on the tax return. I also, when I look at their previous, if they are new to me, I look at prior year tax returns and see if there was any room for tax savings for them. Sometimes there is, where we would go back and amend the tax return. Sometimes I would just basically, depending on the situation, we may take a position of, let's go move forward and look ahead versus the back years of taxes.
Well, I think that you hit on so many really important parts there, and that is taking a look at how their tax has been treated, prior to you. And you can pick out certain things immediately saying, well, not saying it's necessarily to the client, but letting them know that there's areas there that they can save money.
Correct.
And that there's, some options. And I think people like options. I like options,
Yes.
Do I want blueberries or do I
That's right.
But I think people like options. And when they don't feel like they have any, that this is just all that there is and whatever, it's just, kind of like, oh, okay, I guess that's what I have to live with. And it isn't.
And that's rare situations. Most of the time there are options. Most of the time there's way to do things and be able to strategize it. And that's why we do tax planning, is we also look at these areas ahead and put a strategy together to maximize their savings, their future savings, not just the current ones, their future savings.
Right. So how important would you say that, putting some kind of a financial plan together and not leaving it to the last minute, but doing it. And I think the other thing is that people don't realize is that once you do it, doesn't mean that if something changes in your life or whatever, you can always go back and make the changes that you want to make. But it's so important to really have some kind of a plan out there so that when something happens, that at least your estate is going to go to the people that you want it to, and it's going to be done in the way that you want it to be.
Correct. It's very important, and we're talking about tax planning for them as they are preparing for their tax for next year and for taxes similarly as we are currently in the tax planning season. November and December has been always tax planning because most people, especially if they have corporations or partnerships, or small business, they want to know what kind of a tax liability I may be facing. Should I file the tax return? What can we do before end of year to try to minimize that, legitimately?
Yeah.
So that's on the short run, or even the long term, meaning the next few years to come. But on a bigger picture, if they are worried about their estate and estate taxes, then we obviously we would be doing some estate tax planning, and that would be done more in coordination with a state attorney to make sure that everything is put together and discussed, and taxes is also basically accounted for this particular estate should anything happens to the individual or with the survivor or what have you.
Right, and I couldn't help but be sitting here and thinking about the estate planner works with the accountant, and you kind of like, it's a team. And
Correct.
And that's really important because even in the medical industry, and really what you are, a doctor of accounting, of finance, same kind of thing. But
that is
doctors
correct.
even, refer to other doctors when they're not, sure about something, or they just really want to make sure that they're, doing, somebody else's opinion is really important.
Oh, absolutely. And we go back and forth. I mean, this happens from the attorneys to us. I often get calls sometimes too from real estate agents, where they have first-time home buyers, or people are selling their property or doing 1031 exchanges, which rental properties. And they want to know what's the impact. Well, how much is my capital gains? What is the tax? There's so much complications in the tax law. And you do want the person to, your tax accountant to be available to you to be able to answer that, or even to prospective clients, so that it kind of take off a little bit of your anxiety about, in that area. Mm-hmm. And you'll just be amazed the difference that it would make working with someone early on than later on when might be a bit too late.
I totally agree with that. So how important do you think the personal skills are?
From the client with me, I believe it's really important. But again, I get a variety of different clientele. I mean, some clients just not used to working with the professional and having the best, skills and communications. But I believe it's important to be, to be open, to communicate well, to also be receptive to the advice that we do give. And most of the time, my clients that come to me are receptive. And usually they are really here in the first place because they want to have basically an open, professional, ethical relationship and good communications with their accountant.
Exactly.
So for them to come in with that mindset is obviously very important.
Right. And so, I know that you are a very ethic, thinker as far as, wanting to do the right thing.
Correct.
Being authentic,
Yes.
And how important is that really in any business, let alone, I think it's really important. I think you cannot leave it out. It's kind of like you need to be smart, you need to be upfront, if it's good news, bad news, or whatever, just, in a kind, best way that you can present it.
Absolutely. And that's why I always prefer that I meet with my clients face-to-face versus giving the tax return to my assistant to give to them and tell them if they owe taxes and how much, and just, how much to pay and then turn them away. I'd like to just be the person who's giving the news to the client, also maybe exploring options as to, are they able to pay this tax liability now? Are they looking for an installment agreement? Okay, well, is there anything else we could have actually, we could do that would save them taxes moving forward?
Yeah.
So integrity for me is very important, and being ethical and providing the information and being clear and honest is important to me. We have a fiduciary duty towards clients, but also we are bound by the ethic codes of Internal Revenue ethical code that we have to provide ethical consultation and work to the taxpayers.
Mm-hmm.
And it just really helped the client all around. Now, clients may come sometimes and have certain questions, or they come with certain positions that previous professionals have taken or have thought could be advantageous to them on their tax returns, or often even the taxpayers may not have been aware of certain positions that were taken.
Right.
So breaking this news to the client gets a bit challenging. And then, but as you said, saying the information kindly in a professional way, and also just kind of alleviating the stress or the fear of that might be associated with giving them this information, or it plays a big role. So you do have to have that skill to be able to do it correctly and kind of still put them at ease.
Yeah. And doctors have to do that when they come out of surgery too, don't they?
True, and with bad news of illnesses and different things, absolutely.
Exactly. So one more thing, because we're running out of time, but I know that you give back. You've got a really good, kind heart, and I know that you do a lot in the community. Tell me a little bit about that.
So ever since Manhattan Tax and Accounting has been established here in 2005, I've been wanting to always give back to my community. So I am currently the treasurer for Leadership Manhattan Beach program, which is a very outstanding program here in the city. Prepares different leaders for the community, and also allows you to meet many community leaders and city officials, dignitaries, other CEOs. It just really builds a great network with others. So I'm currently volunteering as a treasurer for that organization, as well as I'm also a board of directors member on Manhattan Beach Coordinating Council, which is another great nonprofit organization that helps students in the community from elementary, middle school to high school, and provides them with various recognitions for their success in their college, in their schools, as well as scholarships towards their colleges. So it's great two organizations. In addition, I try to get involved more with Manhattan Beach Kiwanis group, which also helps children all over the world. Kiwanis is a very well-known organization. It's internationally recognized. And also I try to basically give back as much as possible. So a lot of times my firm does support other organizations by sponsors for various events that they may have. I am a member also of the Manhattan Beach Chamber. So I truly believe in giving back to such a great community, and also outside the community. And off tax season, I enjoy a lot helping in other areas outside the U.S. So often I do travel to do mission service trips in other countries. I've been to Kenya, I've been to India, various countries, to basically try to give back to underserved communities in whatever way is possible.
Well, I think that that's what we all need to do. We need to stand united in giving back and taking care, and not just thinking, about ourselves.
Correct.
Because, that's not really exciting to do that anyway. And it always feels so much better when we give back to other people. And so I want to thank you so much, Sylvia, for being on our show, on the Shea Vaughn show this morning, and just, sharing all of your expertise and your good heart. And we hope that you'll come back again.
Thank you so much, Shea, and thank you to all our audience who's been watching. It's been great to be here on your show, and I look forward to coming back and speaking more with you.
Thanks, and I do want to thank our audience today for joining us, and until the next time, we'll see you then.